we're starting to see conversations about AI disclaimers inside of our books. People are disclaiming that they are or are not using AI in an effort to connect with their audience in the right way and to make sure that they're legally protected in the future of this landscape of potentially working with AI in publishing. So how does this apply to us? What do we need to know? Is there a legal side to this? We're going to have a conversation with everybody's favorite IP and entertainment lawyer, Tony, to find out more.
My name is Tony Iliakostas. I'm an adjunct professor of entertainment law and IP at New York Law School, and I have an Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok account called The IP Professor that is dedicated to all things intellectual property.
Tony, we've been having a lot of conversation about AI in publishing. We've got playlists on the legal side and the creative ethics side down below, but I want to talk a little bit about our copyright pages when it comes to using AI. Is this something that we need to disclaim if we are going to be using it? Is it something we need to put in there if we want to say that we haven't used it? Is it going to be relevant to us? Is it going to be useful, or is it something we should ignore?
So that's a great question, and I think it's going to depend on each individual author, but I will say this. Given the proliferation of artificial intelligence and people, proudly boasting, oh, I wrote this using AI, or this photo is generated using AI, it wouldn't hurt to make a disclaimer either way, if it was generated with AI or not. But I would say, especially if you're the type of author that prides yourself in organically writing your own works of authorship, writing your own chapters, your dialogues, whatever is contained within your book, that's the kind of thing where I think you could benefit from a proper disclosure in your copyright notice, or at least anywhere in the inside cover, to let the reader know that there was nothing done using artificial intelligence, or no artificial intelligence or generative AI was used to write the book. Now, one thing I want to add is, this is more of an ethics issue, less than, let's say, a legal issue, because there's nothing illegal about using artificial intelligence, although we do know from the previous videos that we've talked about, and of course, as Kay mentioned, you could check out the playlist, but we've talked about before how anything that is generated using artificial intelligence will not receive copyright protection. We have outstanding decisions from the U.S. Copyright Office where they've affirmed this standpoint. The rationale is that anything using generative AI lacks the human authorship requirement that is essential to copyright law. And while the Copyright Act of 1976 does not talk about human authorship, this is something that has time and time again been discussed in case law. Human authorship being that it was created organically with some degree of creativity by an actual human author. They were able to conceive the idea and then express it in some form that qualifies as a work of authorship under copyright law, whether that's a book, sculpture, artwork, what have you. So that's the extent of anything legal generative AI related. If you generated anything using artificial intelligence, like a poem book, short, like let's say a short novel, or even a long form book, if it was entirely created using artificial intelligence, it's not going to get copyright protection. If it was mostly generated using artificial intelligence, that also may not get copyright protection, or at the bare minimum, whatever was created using generative AI will not get copyright protection. Whatever you organically created will get the copyright protection. So the disclaimer would probably just be more of like an ethical stance, if you will. Now, in terms of what language to put in, that's going to vary. You can keep it as simple as the contents contained within this book were not generated using artificial intelligence, or you could have something a bit more verbose. I think that if you're the kind of person that likes to have, kind of like the legal mumbo jumbo, or wants to have a bit more of a firm type of notice, working with a lawyer, especially one that specializes in copyright law, or even a publishing lawyer that has knowledge about providing proper disclosure or notices inside a book, working with a lawyer would be helpful in terms of structuring that language so that you can have that published in your book.
So if we are going to put that language inside of our copyright, where inside of the copyright would we place that? In the middle, at the bottom? What would that look like?
So I would say the copyright notice should be its own standalone line. You want to kind of affirm the fact that this is the copyright year, or the C circle, the copyright year, and then the owner that would be would be the copyright claimant where that attribution is given to. I would say probably under that's where you could provide like a disclosure, if you will, or maybe even up top. I would just say don't lump it with the copyright notice, because I think it deserves its own place And I think a copyright notice isn't really the proper spot to intermingle a disclosure about artificial intelligence, whether or not the book was generated using artificial intelligence. So I would say it's a matter of what stylistically would work better, but copyright notice, its own line, and then followed by whatever generative AI disclosure you want to have.
So it is okay then to put that at the bottom beneath that copyright page, but on the same page. Is it more valuable for us to then put it on a different page, or is it okay to have it in the same?
I would say, I mean, I think that's preferential to each author. I would say if you're the kind of person that just likes, keeping things synthesized, keep it all on the same page. If you want it to have its own dedicated page, maybe as like a prologue, if you will, you could do that as well. I think whatever would float your boat as an author, but I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. And I think the main reason for that is it's crazy to say this, but we've never dealt with this before. This is a dawn of this is a new dawn in this new era of generative AI. And it's crazy to say that we're having this discussion now in 2023, but here we are having this discussion in 2023. So I think this is all really just a case of first impression for a lot of authors. I would say, generally speaking, the publishing industry as a whole. And maybe, who knows, maybe the big four publishers are going to probably have to do this exact same type of proactive measure with their authors. So who knows? This is probably something that will, I think, be refined or addressed in coming years, especially as generative AI becomes a bit more popular and on demand.
And as we see things starting to become more refined, we will be doing more episodes with Tony answering your questions on the legal side of publishing. So go ahead and drop those down below and follow along for our daily videos helping you navigate the world of publishing. As always, you can reach out to Tony on his social medias. Tony, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at the IP Professor. And if you're into podcasts, you can check out my entertainment law podcast called End Scene. New episodes drop every Friday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Drop your questions about AI and publishing down below. Tony's coming back for the legal side, and we've got the creative ethics side over in the other playlist, and we'll link all those down below for you. But we're also helping you navigate the world of publishing, whether you're a book influencer, a writer, an aspiring writer, somebody looking to market in this world. We are here to help you to navigate your social media content creation, your writing, your publishing journey. So we want to get your questions answered, and we'll see you in the upcoming daily episodes helping you to navigate the publishing world to make this your most profitable year ever.